Cheddarville, USA. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. We're excited to share with you guys the world premiere of OA Cheddar Chunks. We take our branding really serious over here, obviously. So let me refer to I see us. What's up, everybody? I am Gabe Strom, joined by world famous, niche famous, I should say, seven-figure Amazon seller Grant Dunn. We're the co-founders of this community and beautiful thing called OA Cheddar. And we thought we'd just pop out today and do a quick live to share with you guys some behind the scenes stuff. We like to do that from time to time. What is Cheddar Chunks? Where did it come from? Specifically, how will it benefit your business and your bottom line? Put money in your pocket, which I know is what you care about. And how do you get some? So that's what we're going to cover today. So what's up if you're joining live? Comment below if this is your first live. We had a bunch of new people, Grant, join the group in the last couple weeks. So G Money, first off, man, good morning. How are you doing, sir?
I'm doing good, Gabe. Good morning. What's up, Cheddarville? You know, you said Cheddarville, USA, but I got to correct you because I do think we have some people from overseas that are buying product from Cheddar and sending it into their Amazon stores here in the US. So what up, Cheddar Globe? Cheddarville Globe? I don't know.
Cheddarville World, man. So
there you go. There you go. Cheddar World.
Very exciting. Well, we had to squeeze this broadcast in. Grant's actually got a trip planned for tomorrow, so we were gonna or later this afternoon he's gonna take off. So, well, let's start with this, man. Let's just get right into it, Grant. We're gonna do this broadcast pretty quick in about 20 minutes. If you're watching the replay, here's how this is gonna work. We'll give everybody fair warning up front. This first Cheddar Chunk is a one-time lead list. These are brand new lead lists that have been produced off of Cheddar 3. This particular chunk has 38 plus leads. There's some secret bonus leads on there, and it will be offered at the top of the next hour. So at 12 noon Central for $57 is what's going down. So if you want access to that, all you have to do is go over to oacheddar.com at 12 noon. If you want in on this, we're limiting these chunks to 35 people, and we're going to talk about why we're doing that. So I expect this chunk, Grant, to sell out very fast. And there will be more, so don't freak out. This isn't like the only time we're doing this. This is the first time. But Grant, first and foremost, man, so that's all going down at noon. If you guys are at work or whatever and you got to jump away, bookmark 12 noon Central, and then just head over to oacheddar.com as well. We will drop a link in the group as how this is going to go down to give y'all first mover advantage. So first off, Cheddarverse, somebody commented. So first off, Grant, what is OA Cheddar Chunks? Like, where did this come from?
Right. Well, as you guys know, we're ramping up for Cheddar 3. That's going to be just like Cheddar 55 and Cheddar Dose, but, you know, unique leads, a whole new list for everybody that's basically waiting for a Cheddar list and can't get on. Many of you are on one or even two Cheddar lists and want another one, right? So, so we're ramping things up. And what we found is we've got all these leads that we're generating, piling in from this new team that we've hired. And we're like, well, what do we do with these, right? Do we just let them fizzle away, use them later? You guys know leads expire. And we decided we're going to do Cheddar Chunks. So Cheddar Chunks are a product of Cheddar 3 while it's in beta or while it's under construction. And we're excited to bring it to you guys and offer a unique new product of some sort.
Very cool. Well said, man. You said that probably better than I can. So well said. So Cheddar Chunks is really came from you guys. I mean, you asked in the group for more leads. We listened. So as Grant said, we've hired a new team. They're in training with our best sourcers right now. And so we wanted to give them some time to ramp up their production and get their quality up to speed. So rather than wait, like Grant said, we thought, hey, we'll just start offering you guys these chunks. And most likely we'll be doing this on a weekly basis as we get them. So it's basically leads on demand. As we get them, these are the freshest leads, totally unique. No one in the universe has seen these leads. I don't think, Grant, your team hasn't even bought off this list. So these are prime, freshest squeaky cheese. This is like this is like cheese curds, the kind that you get that squeak. They squeak in your teeth. That's what chunks are. What's up, everybody? Hey, comment below where you're from. I am curious in the Cheddarverse where y'all are watching in from today, or if you're watching the replay as well. So cool. So as Grant, as you said, man, these are from Cheddar 3. So this is a sample, if you will. This particular list has 38 leads. And Grant, are you cool? We put together a sample of the list. Are you cool if I drop that in chat and just share with people what we're looking for today?
Let's do it.
Let me grab that. While I'm grabbing this, can you maybe share a little bit behind the scenes, Grant? Some people want to know, like, well, first off, let me ask this: why are we limiting this to 35 sellers? Because this is we're gonna have some people that's gonna miss out on this, and that's just part of the nature. We've got a growing, thriving group. So why are we limiting this to 35, homie?
We want to protect, our customers. That's the main thing. Same reason we limit all of our other lists so far to 55 subscribers. We're limiting chunks to 35 because we want to protect the quality of the leads. And we know that the less exposure a lead gets, the higher value that lead is. And so that's another good reason. And I guess to protect the lead in itself too, but really it's mainly just to protect you guys, the customers.
Protection. Cool. So that's why we do this. It's for your protection and for the protection of the leads. We like to protect the quality of the leads. So if you guys click below, I just dropped the link to, this is the preview version of Cheddar Chunks. So rather, as we tell you about it, you can click below, pull this up and go through this. I'm looking through these leads. Clearly, guys, we have blurred out the date, the ASIN, and the source URL. That will be available on the actual list. So you guys will get that just like all of our lists. But as you can tell, there's a bunch of top shelf leads at the top, and then we've got some bonus leads at the bottom, because you guys know we always like to under promise, over deliver with y'all and give you more bang for your buck so you guys can save more time. Ultimately is the biggest thing these chunks and all of our lists will do for you, and also make you money. And I love seeing, Grant, we've had several of you guys posting in the group screenshots of your results. So keep doing that. We may come up with some kind of bonus reward system to reward you guys for having success, because I believe that success begets success. And the more you see other people having success, it does something to train your subconscious mind to start thinking, hey, this is normal, And Grant, I know you guys, when you first started 3+ years ago, I don't know where y'all sales were at, but you guys have been cranking out 50, 60, 80. You have months that you bump over 100,000 in sales, and that's become your new normal. And so we want to see you guys doing this as well. So I'm just looking through this list though, Grant. I see leads. These are the same Cheddar standard as all of our other Cheddar lists. So minimum $4 profit margin. I'm seeing leads on here though, Grant, that go anywhere from $4 net profit. I see some fatties up here, 24, 25. I see a 52.98 profit margin, 29.36. There's some fat leads on here. So do you want to talk just briefly about the Cheddar standard, man, what the team's looking for when they screen these leads?
Right. So like Gabe said, it's a $4 minimum net profit. It needs to have a 40% ROI minimum. And then we also have a minimum of 10 sales per month, just to make sure that there's some velocity, some decent velocity on the listing. Other than that, we like to see like a 90-day, a pretty solid 90-day history where maybe Amazon wasn't in the picture. Maybe if they were, it was just a little blip. But basically, when we're looking at that history, we want to see that, this lead can be purchased today and, predictably sold for a profit in the near future without any, issues coming up. Doesn't mean that issues can't come up, but we try to protect, avoid those types of things. Other than that, I think we're just cranking them out, man. I don't know what else to say, man. It's crazy how many leads we're bringing in these days.
Yeah, we're really been pleased with the team's production, and we've had to let a couple people go. We've kind of pruned the herd recently, rehired on some new people, so it kind of keeps things fresh, keeps our team. We have some friendly competition that happens internally, and when we say sourcing team, part of our team is overseas. So we have an awesome team that's been with us for several years, and then also Grant, you, and then your brother Taylor Dunn. You guys do all the sourcing for your 7-figure Amazon business, retail arbitrage, and online arbitrage. And then also, of course, we have Cindy, who helps with support, and Clark McIntosh in the background, who helps us with all of our technology. So we've got a whole, when you guys buy one of our lists, you don't just buy me and Grant, you're buying our whole team. And so we like to think that our team is your team. And if you guys haven't learned this lesson in business yet, there is no such thing as self-made wealth or self-made anything. That's a myth that I see tossed around our industry. There's only team-made success, team-made wealth. And so we want to help you. I know, especially as you're building and scaling your business, it is a hassle sometimes to hire VAs and manage a team and manage multiple software licenses, multiple softwares, which we have to harvest the cheddar, new processes. We're always having to, we've got people on our team dedicated to finding new OA sourcing strategies. So it's like hitting a moving target a little bit for you guys. If you guys know Amazon and know how sourcing is. But again, all of this, you guys get all of this when you buy one of our Cheddar Chunks. And like for today, for only $57, it's a no-brainer to scoop this up. And whether you're already on Cheddar or if you're brand new, there's something for everybody. So we talked about what it is. Grant, in a nutshell, man, what do chunks do for people? Like, how will this benefit and bless somebody that buys this?
Sure. I mean, it's sourcing from your computer. You guys could be, it's Friday, so you could be sourcing from this list throughout the weekend. It's funny, actually. There was a while back, probably no joke. Okay, maybe 3 months ago, we kind of injected a very significant amount of cash into our business, and I took $8,000 and purchased from OA Cheddar. I actually had one of my lead VAs put all the leads together into a list. I don't think I got maybe 35 to 40 lines down before I ran out of money, and like the $8,000 was gone. And so I'm not trying to say that that's what's going to happen with this list, but these leads are essentially the same quality that I was sourcing from. In fact, some of the stuff I was sourcing from was feta standard. But like I said, I didn't get through maybe 40 at the most lines on that sheet before I was like, okay, well, I'm out of money and I got all these leads I can't buy. So I think done correctly, somebody could exhaust a pretty significant amount of money on just this chunk, which is pretty cool. It's just about a week's worth of leads today, right? So you just get to hammer down and spend some cash.
So there you go, man. In a nutshell, the biggest thing these things do for you guys is they save you time. And you guys have already seen this. A lot of you guys have other full-time businesses, careers. You're in real estate. You're selling mortgages. You're doing other stuff. A good chunk of you. And this saves you time. You don't have to go out. You probably would spend, we can break down the hours. I bet it's 10 to 20 hours of sourcing work to come up with a week's list of primo leads. So either you can do that yourself, you can hire someone and spend probably $1,000, $1,500 to get a couple VAs on staff to work with you, or you can buy our lead list, and we package them up, and we're able to do these at scale, and we pass those savings on to you guys. So this is the most effective, we believe, highest quality leads in our industry. And if you are on another list out there that you know of that's delivering better leads, let us know. We would love to. That's our mission here, is to be the #1 online arbitrage lead list in the universe. What's going on, guys? So Grant, let me talk. One person said, I like the list. Good work, guys. Someone else said, I cannot open the list. So I'm not for sure why. I'm on this test list here, and I see all of you guys popping on. So if you can't see the test list, I'll take a screenshot here in a second and drop it below. But Grant, tell me this, man. How is Cheddar Chunk different than OA Cheddar 55, the original list, or OA Cheddar Dose? Like, can you just clarify? Because we have... Right. We come up with all these new products and stuff. How is it different specifically, or is it different?
Right. In terms of lead quality, it's not different. It's the exact same as Cheddar 55 and Dose. The only difference is right now Cheddar 3 isn't producing enough to have a consistent subscription to sell. So, some days we might bring in 5 leads, another day we might bring in 10 leads, and there might be a day where we bring in 2 leads for Cheddar 3. So that inconsistency is where, Cheddar Chunk is kind of helping us kind of monetize the production that we are putting in, because it is costing money, right? Every lead that we generate costs us money. And so this is a way for us to really essentially monetize what we have and not let it go to waste, right? Because as you guys know, if you go look at a lead list from, a month ago, right, maybe half of the stuff on there can still be sourced. The other stuff's going to be out of stock, or the coupon expired or something. So, these leads have a timeline and they have a lifespan, and we want to make sure that we're, putting them to use. And we do that by obviously delivering them to you. So like I said, lead quality, no different at all. It's just the delivery that's different. And instead of getting, 9 to 10 leads a day, plus some bonus leads through a subscription, we're just going to hammer down, give you 38 plus some extras right out of the gate. It's basically, you're getting a week's worth of leads for $57.
There you go. Well said, man. Well said. So same great leads y'all are used to on Cheddar 55 and Cheddar Dose. These are just totally unique. I want this to be clear with you guys. These are unique from our Cheddar 3 list, which is in beta, which you cannot get access to. And our intention is that you'll enjoy these. You'll be able to sample these Cheddar 3 leads. We'll do this over the next several weeks. And then once our production, and we're confident in the quality and volume, number of leads that our team is producing, we will open up seats on the new Cheddar 3. I know a lot of you have been asking for it, and we have you on the waiting list. So if you want on that list, we're keeping a waiting list internally. All you have to do is head over to oacheddar.com. You can enter your name and email to join that waiting list, and then we add you to a spreadsheet internally. And if and when seats become available for that, we will message that list first and give you guys first dibs. So that's how it's different, how it'll benefit you. Rand, do you have any idea what your net was on that $8,000? I'm putting you on the spot because you ran this. You probably don't have it pulled up, do you?
No, I don't. And it would be really hard for me to pull, not really hard, but time consuming to pull the data in. However, I can tell you that in our business, we average around a 40 to 50% ROI on everything we sell. Now, granted, that's a lot of RA. So it's probably pretty safe to say that we made $2,000 to $3,000 because it was OA purchases. I would say closer to maybe $2,000 gross profit on an $8,000 spend. That's a 25% ROI. So that's conservative, right? It probably was more.
Okay. Yeah, I'm putting you on the spot, so thanks for being transparent. I'm always
Right.
curious. So, what'd you say you guys do a mix of RA and OA? What's your at the end of the day what's your net profit like in your business? Just to give some context to people.
So gross profit, like last month, our gross was, now granted it's August, it's a good month, but we've been kind of clipping around at this range. But gross profit after Amazon fees, before my payroll and all my other expenses, about 24 grand. The net on that, right, that I'm paying myself, and another part of that net is servicing debt that I acquired over this last few years of running, building a business and figuring all this out. We're probably netting about 10 to 12 on the FBA side, just net from the FBA business. The other $12,000 goes to pay for everything else, essentially.
Sure. Okay. And what kind of top line sales? What kind of top line sales did you guys do last month in August?
Yeah, like $105,000. Cost of goods sold was probably about 40 grand. And so our profit margin is running right around 22 to 24% profit margin. That's gross profit margin. So the net is probably closer to like 12% or so.
Okay. Thank you for being transparent. So 105 top line Amazon sales. You mentioned 40,000 cost of goods sold. So that is what you're spending on inventory, right?
Right.
Okay. So
that's the cost of the inventory we sold.
Okay. So you guys are spending 30, 40 grand a month. So you're spending upwards of 8 to 10,000 a week at this point on inventory?
I would say no less than 40 grand a month is what we're spending. It's probably closer to like 11, roughly on average per week, 11,000 per week.
Okay. And then your gross profit, I'm just kind of walking down. This is real high level numbers, but I want just to give you guys some context. Some of you guys are curious and you hear some big numbers like 7-figure, but you're like, what does that mean in your pocket? So that's what we want to just break down today. So 24,000 in gross profit. So that's after paying for inventory. That's money that you get back from Amazon. You still have to pay your office expenses, your taxes, and your income. And you guys pay yourself a salary and different things. Right. So that gives you guys and the team. So a little bit shy of 24% gross profit margins gives you guys some context. Everybody's net's going to be a little different. I've heard everything from probably 11% on a very conservative side. We have some 7-figure sellers to do that all the way up to 22% is probably typical for an arbitrage model. Obviously private label and some other models are a little bit different, but that gives y'all some context. So you could take those numbers if that's like way out there and you're like, wow, 100,000 a month in sales seems like so far. Break that down into your first 10,000 a month in sales and just see how you guys are shaping up and stay at it. Grant, you guys have been doing this is this your third or fourth Q4 now?
I think this is my fourth or fifth. I think my first Q4 though was like, I think I started like in the middle of Q4, if I remember right, in like 2014. So 2014, 15, 16, 17, 18. So this would technically be my fifth, but probably my fourth where I actually had an opportunity to learn something before we got into Q4.
Sure.
So fourth of actually doing something. I want to say something too, like in talking about, you look at, 100,000 sales. Oh, that sounds like so much, right? It really doesn't. Like I was just talking to a friend yesterday, a client actually, and we were talking about how really getting from 0 to 10,000 a month is probably the hardest thing you're going to do in this business, or at least the most work is going to happen at that front end, that startup phase. But going from like 10,000 a month to 20,000 a month, I think there's several people in our group inside of Cheddarville that can attest to this, or Cheddar Universe. That can attest to this, that we don't know if we have any aliens subscribed to our list, so I don't know if we're a universe yet, but they can attest, going from 10 to 20,000 a month is relatively easy compared to that, 0 to 10,000. And then beyond that, it's systems, processes, and teams, right? That's systems, processes, teams, and some cash to play, right? That'll get you to the 100,000 a month range.
Okay. I'm taking notes. You guys, wait, here's the part of the broadcast, TV timeout. We needed like a fancy commercial. My baby was awake. I'd bring her out here and show you my little chunk. But
It'd be awesome.
yeah, I want to. She's sleeping. She kept me up. I was up to like 3:30 last night. Awesome. We just had a 5 days ago. You guys, we showed on the Facebook. But I want to talk briefly, Grant. This is the part we always kind of go off the reservation a little bit and freestyle here, but there's always some great content that comes up. So I want to talk briefly about some keys to going from 0 to 10K a month. And then you mentioned that it's actually easier to go from 10K to 100K per month. And I can attest from that because of the coaching groups we've run over the years. We've seen more success quickly. Once someone gets to that really 5, 10K a month, we've had so many clients over the years that have started from there and have ramped up to 30, 40, 50K a month within cut like a quarter or two, like very quickly. So just in your experience, though, Grant, let's start from scratch. What are some of the keys to going from 0 to your first 10K month? Let's talk about this period, and I can talk about the second one next. But what are the keys for that early startup days?
Yeah, it's education. All right. I mean, in that first 0 to 10 phase, I mean, you're building up your knowledge base, and really with your knowledge and education, you're building up and experience. You're working on increasing your confidence. Because I was just talking to a friend about this. Is like getting that's kind of what holds people back, I think. And if you think, for example, right, let me put it this way, like 8 years ago, right, when I started this whole home business thing, I was talking about this the other day. My wife and I used to argue about $500, right? Like I'd tell her, hey, I'm gonna buy this course. It was like in the early days, I'm gonna buy this course, it's $500. She'd flip a lid, and we would argue about why it was okay for me to do this. And I was still trying to, believe it was okay to spend $500 on an info product. And, but anyway, so now, right, just the other day, I told my wife, I said, look, I'm going to put $1,000 into this investment and $2,000 into this investment. It's kind of a unique opportunity that's available right now. And she goes, well, what is it? I spent about, 30 seconds telling her. She's like, I really don't care. Go ahead and do what you're going to do. You're going to do it anyway, Grant. And I've made some much bigger investments since then, in the 5-digit range, just investing in myself and stuff like that. So, I think it's perspective, right? So like, as you kind of continue to increase and you get over that $10,000 a month mark, all of a sudden $10,000 isn't that much money anymore. And your perspective has changed. You can set your sights on something bigger. And so I think the biggest thing with like education and what you're kind of feeding into your brain too, and who you're listening to, who you're spending time with, that's why like everybody says, your net worth is the equivalent of your network, right? Who you spend time with. So if like everybody that you're talking to, listening to, getting advice from is poor, you're probably going to stay poor, right? So that's where you listen to people like Les Brown or Tony Robbins or Gary Vaynerchuk or Ryan Daniel Moran or Gabe, right? You're listening to people and spending time with people through the digital world, right? Which is amazing that we can do this, have face-to-face conversation and inspire and teach each other. You feed into yourself in that early stages, and that's when things just start to get easy. Like, it's funny now because I look at earning money a little bit differently than I used to. It's starting to kind of get to be like, instead of how can I go work for more money? How can I go earn more money? It's more of like, what systems can I put in place, people that I can put in place from all over the world now, which is amazing, and to create another income source, right? Like, we're working on Cheddar now. I've already got we've already got ideas on several different ways that we can generate more income doing exactly that: systems, processes, people, and a little bit of capital. So it's
okay. So startup phase, and I echo everything you just said. Your net worth 100% is equal to your network. I said that right. Net worth equals network. So 100% of the people you hang out with. So if you don't have friends that are playing at a higher level, come hang out with us. We'll share. That's why we do interviews and things, to bring you guys people playing at a higher level, because it helps change that. So biggest thing you said, you didn't say anything technical. Okay. So use on a technical side, because I know someone's thinking this, you mentioned the confidence and the belief. And that really is everything. And Tony talks about this. Tony Robbins talks about this. When you do anything new, there's this cycle that we all go through from, it's like you're walking on faith. You don't know if this is going to work. You take the action, you get the results, and then your confidence gets boosted up and you're like, hey, let's do that again. And so in our world, this is like if you remember your first sale on Amazon, or you buy off a list and you're like, man, are these guys crazy? These guys this is the cheesiest thing I've ever heard. I think half of them, all of it. I know some people think this. That's cool. I'll call it on the rug. You buy from the list. You send it in 2 weeks later, they get sent in, they're selling. 2 weeks later, you get your payout, and you're like, wow, that more than 4 times, 5 times, 10 times paid for itself on the list. Got a result. Let's do that again. And you keep scaling that up. So I want to ask briefly then, Grant, let me hide this here. I want to ask briefly, bro, about the second stage. And we're oversimplifying this. Actually, before I do that, what are the tools, man? If you were to start over again from scratch to go through that startup phase, I know there's a lot of things you don't need in the beginning. Give me the down and dirty, Grant Dunn version of Amazon FBA tools or resources to start and go 0 to 10K. Let's just start with that.
Right. So you're talking like software and stuff.
I'm talking about what would you do if you were starting from scratch and there was a spot. Well, let's assume there's a spot on Cheddar Open. I'll let you start with that. What are the tools, software, resources you would use to go 0 to 10K doing it again today?
Right. Well, if I didn't have cash, I would start with a credit card. As crazy as that sounds, I know we don't want to teach people go into debt, but if you don't have the capital, then you can leverage money, somebody else's money. I would, you need a decent PC, you need a decent printer, you need, I would have RevSeller, right? In terms of a software to put on my Chrome browser. So I'd have a RevSeller that costs $99 a month. Or a year. Sorry, a year. And I would also have the Keepa extension on my Amazon listings, right, or on my Chrome browser. I would have Inventory Lab, right? That's like a no-brainer. I think Inventory Lab is probably pound for pound the most low cost for value in this space. Like, I don't know anybody else selling something for $50 that provides as much value as Inventory Lab. So you have to have Inventory Lab or something comparable. You need a repricer. You can use the Amazon repricer, but I would encourage you to use Be Cool or Inform.co. I really like. It's just expensive, but Be Cool is sufficient, right? A little tip for you guys is to turn Be Cool up to a 5-minute turnaround in terms of repricing instead of a 15-minute. It costs a little bit more money, but you will be more competitive and see greater results with it. Because if your competitor is repricing every 5 minutes and you're repricing every 15 minutes, you're not as competitive as they are. So I'd have a good repricer. And I'd have lead lists, right? If I was going to do OA, right, I'd acquire, lead lists and, acquire a lead list. As my budget increased, I would get another lead list to accommodate my budget. Other than that, I can't really think of anything else other than, the general prep and pack supplies, the stuff that you've got to, the poly bags and the boxes and the tape and, the stickers and all that good stuff. There's a lot. There's actually a lot when you really think about it, but I would start and I just wouldn't quit. And the other really good tool would be YouTube, right? I've learned a lot through YouTube, just trolling through the videos. And, if you have a question, I'll tell you something, being able to succeed in business isn't having all the answers. It's knowing what questions to ask. I promise you.
And knowing where to find them, the right questions to ask and where to find them, right?
True. And a lot, pretty much every question, not every question, but most questions are answered either on YouTube or on Google, right? So I will tell you that when I have a question about something, that's where I go, right? If I can't figure something out, even if it's inside of Seller Central and I'm like, I can't figure this out, I'll go to YouTube and do a search and again, understanding how to search and how to ask YouTube a question, to bring up the results that you're looking for is a skill. But like I said, you don't have to have all the answers. If you know the questions and you can start to understand the questions. You want to know how I learned what questions to ask? Was literally at every moment, like in the early days, I would sit with my phone, no matter where I was. If I had a free moment, I was scrolling through Facebook threads and reading the thread, even if it didn't apply to my business. I would read the concern, the question, the comment, whatever it was, and I would read all the feedback that people put inside of that thread, and I would just glean from that. So then when I in the future, like 6 months down the road, I would come up against that situation or that problem and go, I know what question to ask. I don't remember the answer. I don't remember exactly what was said in that thread, but I remember the question I need to ask, and I would go find the answer that way. And that was actually extremely useful for me. So that's a really good tip, actually.
That's a good word, man. That's a really powerful word. Don't let this stuff, the simplicity of this message, cloud over. So knowing the right questions to ask, this is key in business. Because anytime you have a problem, as entrepreneurs, we are problem solvers. You are a problem solver, and there is going to be problems in your business. This is why 95% of most entrepreneurs fail. They don't know how to solve the right problems. The way you solve the problem is by asking the right questions and knowing where to ask. So YouTube's a great resource for you guys. In our group, we've built up a database. If you go to the search bar, which they've moved this around. So if you go, I'm on the group page right now. If you go on the left-hand side and you scroll down below the About, Discussion, Announcements section, there's a little search bar. You can search the group for specific questions. Like if you're looking for a pack and prep center, we had this question the other day. There's a resource we've built and put inside the group. It's in the file section. So search the group. I would start here, search YouTube. If you can't find what you're looking for, then you can get creative and start asking sellers. So you can post questions in the group and things like that. So that's a good word, Grant, for scaling. Before we pivot, man, and we're going to go just a little bit longer because this is the rich part here. Are you guys cool if we hang out for just a couple more minutes with y'all? I promise we'd keep this a brief broadcast. So give us a thumbs up if you guys want us to drop some more nugget bombs. What I want to talk about next is the nugget bombs, the scaling part, 10K to 100K, and how this is easier and what you're doing. And some of you, this is a step ahead. Some of you are in this space, and for some of you, this will help paint the vision of where you're heading. So you can we can really lay out a bridge and a path for you guys to walk on. So first, I want to say what's up, though, Grant, to a couple people that are joining live. So I just want to say what's up. I see Jeff Lee from California. Let me pull up our comments here. We'll take 30 seconds and do a little TV timeout. How do I pull this up here? Click on this. Beautiful, beautiful. So Jeff Vaca from California, what's up? Scott Hadley from Kentucky. What's going on, Scott? I've been seeing you super active recently in the group, so appreciate you, man. Be on the list and being in the group. Steve Heitman, Upper Michigan. Steve, where in Upper Michigan are you, my friend? I love Upper Michigan, specifically in the wintertime when you guys get lots of snow and we can do snowmobiling up there. That's the closest good riding I have. I don't live in the mountains like Grant. So welcome, brother. Leanne Granja from Florida. What's going on? I see Kishi in the house. Kishi, brother, appreciate you being here, man. Appreciate all the hard work that you put into Cheddar. Micah Franklin from Florida. I see Carolyn Murray. Carolyn, you always put a smile on my face when I see you pop up in the Tap Chat in Cheddarville. So Carolyn, blessings to you. We got Todd Loudry from Texas. So Texas in the house. Carolyn Murray, Ashley Dunn. Grant, your beautiful wife's watching. Hello, Ashley. Welcome. Joseph Good, I believe. I'm ready to jump on your new list and grow. So that's you put this really well, Joseph. The OA Cheddar Chunk and all of our OA Cheddar lists are designed to help you grow and scale. This gives you time back so that you can focus on income-producing activities such as buying a profitable product that you can send into Amazon. That's what makes you money in this business. So if you're doing anything else, Grant, I know like right now you have systems, and we'll talk about how you're set up. You don't do any packing and prepping. You don't do any accounting anymore. You've really outsourced a lot of those important systems, but are not directly revenue generating. And you focus on moving the needle, getting profitable inventory sent in. And now you're duplicating yourself. You have Taylor and people on your team that you've duplicated the sourcing. So let's see here. Steve Heitman, Escanaba, I think California as well. Micah Franklin, I said, what's up? Steve Schreier, we got a bunch of you guys jumping on. So hello, wherever y'all are from. So Grant, let's turn the corner, man. Let's go into the second phase. I think this is relevant for people. We weren't planning on talking about this today, but I think it'll be helpful for y'all. You made a bold statement that it's easier to scale from 10K a month to 100K. So could you maybe give us an example? And without using people's names, we've had members in our mastermind and mentoring groups. Can you maybe walk us through how we've seen some other sellers do it, or how to go through that process?
Right. Well, the first seller I think about, I mean, there's a few. Let's start with Kimberly Norman, right? I don't know. She's kind of a unique situation though, because she started really selling. I want to say it was like June of 2017, and I want to say by January she was over 20,000 a month, and it was all OA. That was before OA Cheddar even existed. I mean, she still, I think, was sourcing some off of the pre-Cheddar, like before we were ever released it, because we were under construction for a while. But gosh, I don't,
Start with this, man. What are the keys? What does a seller do to go from there? And you can use Kim as an example, or Raul and Liz. We've had several in the group that have done this. What are the keys to going through that process?
Well, I mean, you got to develop the systems and processes with your own time and labor. I think that's the first step, right? And that's where it's a lot of work, and that's where it's difficult in the front end, because not only do you have to learn everything, you also have to execute everything, because you don't have the revenue or the profit to pay for somebody else or softwares or whatever to do it for you. But as soon as, I think that's the kind of the goal, right, is to get that startup capital really coming in, right, or that early revenue coming in, so that you can start kind of allocating resources to figure out how to kind of remove yourself from the day-to-day, the mundane, shipping and stuff like that. So like one of the first things that we teach people, that we've seen Kimberly do, that I've done, and I think really outsourcing shipping kind of is like the 30,000 and above level, right? Once you're kind of at 30,000 above a month, that's when you're like, okay, I can't ship anymore. I got to do like one of these jobs, right? I got to either buy or I got to ship. Well, shipping is going to be the easiest thing to outsource, the easiest thing to teach somebody, and it's probably the lowest paying job, right? It's kind of like what Gary Ray says, right? Focus on the dollar work, not the nickel and dime work, right? So, so the first thing I did was outsource the shipping department, right? That was like the very first thing. And then I became, solely a buyer, right? And I got really, really good at buying through, about another year of execution and practice and, figuring that stuff out. I don't think it has to take a year to kind of go from being the number one buyer, the sole buyer, somebody else is shipping everything out for you, to taking the next step where you basically go find somebody to do the buying for you, which is where I'm at now. And so I just get to focus on, these other businesses. We have, private label that we're working on. We have Cheddar that we're working on and constantly building more into it. And then there's also just the day-to-day stuff as your business grows, right? There's even more day-to-day tasks, but okay, there's even another layer, right? This is kind of where I'm at so I hope I'm actually providing some value here. I don't really know, kind of your craft you gave, you surprised me with this one. So I'm having to mentally prepare as I'm speaking. But right now in my business where I'm at, it's funny because I was at my computer and I've been doing a lot of pretty much all of the computer related work for our 7-figure, FBA business myself. That's been my job, checking inventory in, cleaning up my inventory, taking care of stranded inventory, unfulfillable inventory, managing customer feedback, managing customer messages or buyer messages, a lot of stuff, right? But one of the biggest tasks in my business, because I like to check in all my inventory and I like to set the price parameters, min, max, and strategy individually on an individual SKU basis. I don't like to kind of just have a one sweep over it. Maybe that'll change someday. But right now, that's how I was probably putting a good 10 hours a week, which is a significant amount of time into checking in inventory, which I will say, I think for a while, the owner of the business needs to be responsible for that job because it's a very touchy job. You got to kind of hone in your strategy. But over the last 6 months, I've nailed down my strategy for repricing, and I've got to basically created a formula. Now, granted, that formula isn't perfect and there still takes some intuition, but I'm actually just this week, I was actually, I worked like all day, probably a 10-hour day at my computer. I went and set my computer down at the kitchen table at about 9 o'clock at night. I checked in form.co and I saw that I had 100 SKUs to check in, which is about a 3-hour job. Normally, I would just say, screw it, sit down on my computer, and just work through the rest of the night, and get it done so that the next day I get to start off with a clean slate. And I just thought, what? I've already been kind of working on my SOPs and really taking Google Docs and writing out every step of every process that I do. And that's kind of where I'm at now. So if you kind of want to know where, when you're not doing the buying, you start to get organized, you start to get efficient, you start to figure out where there's gaps in your system, right? And fill those or make corrections to your processes so that those gaps don't, exist anymore, or deficiencies or whatever. Anyway, so I'm like, you know what? I'm done, right? I went to my main guy, my guy in the PH. It's like, look, bro, this is your job now. I can't do this anymore. I can't focus on being creative if I'm doing this day-to-day stuff. So, now I'm training somebody to do what I think was probably my most important job, or at least the job that I was holding on to the most, and probably of all the jobs taking up the most time per week in terms of hours. So now I'm at the stage where I'm kind of outsourced. I'm actually starting to figure out how to walk out of my FBA business completely so that I can focus on the next system, wholesale, right? Private label. That's kind of the next layer for us. And I'll build that system. I'll build those SOPs. I'll put a team in place to do that. But let me talk about So that's in the future. But let me talk about that transition phase and why it's easier to go from 10 to 100K than 0 to 10K. The reason why I think is the revenue, right? Once you have income that's coming in, you get to start to be creative with that revenue and figure out how to, again, build the systems and then use that money to put somebody in the place of doing that, which frees you up to do the more important work, which is figure out how to create more income, right? But if you're just focusing on the work, right, you're not getting creative. And that's, I think, entrepreneurs, we're called to creativity, right? I think that's why we're crazy and we're not working a job and we're doing what we're doing. Is you got something there, a book probably that backs up that theory, I suppose.
Yes, call to creativity. No, you're giving some great stuff. We're going to have to, in the sake of time, because we're going to have to wrap this broadcast up here in like the next 5 or 7 minutes here. So we'll come back to the scaling up. This is rich, but if you guys haven't picked up the E-Myth yet, a lot of what Grant's talking about can be learned in this book. And we've talked about this in the Top Secret group and a lot of the other groups and programs. If you guys are in our world, Michael Gerber, buy this book today on Amazon if you don't have it. He talks about setting up systems and processes. You can do this for any business. So the key here, and this is a big breakthrough, to going from a solo entrepreneur to what I call a real entrepreneur, where you have a business where you can leave on vacation and your business makes more money while you're gone than when you're there. So if that sounds appealing, unless you like to work and you just want to have an FBA job for the rest of your life, if that's what you want, by all means, boo, keep doing what you're doing. But it happens with systems and processes, and you start small. So there's actually a process to doing this. Grant, you mentioned the first thing that you set up a system for was your pack and prep. And you've got, I see it right behind you. You still operate, y'all run a 7-figure business. You still operate out of your garage. That is your garage at your home. And you have one prep person. His name is Charles. He's awesome. And he does he's your shipping department. So you hired him just out of very quickly. Do you pay Charles as, is he like an independent contractor, or do you pay him like a W-2, or how do you compensate your shipping team?
Yeah, I pay him through payroll. He's an hourly employee. And so is Taylor. Taylor is a salary employee.
Okay. So you did this official, you got payroll and things set up. And roughly how big was your business when you brought on Charles, just to give some context? And then I'll wrap this up here.
$30,000 a month was a sale volume. He started to help me buy a little bit between the 20 and 30,000 a month range. And then I actually quit my job, I waited as long as I could, but before I could afford it. And then right after that, I hired him full time, and he was my buyer. He would work basically next to me. So he was buying and shipping. And by the way, Charles buys too, right? He knows how to source. He actually probably every other week, I think the schedule right now is every other week he goes and does a 2-day with Taylor. And then Taylor, what he does is he does 2 days a week. So he's out Monday, Tuesday, overnight trip. And then he's in town all of Wednesday. And then he does a Thursday, Friday overnight trip. And then he has the weekend. Okay. So that's the current system.
So he's so I was just curious to give someone some context. We'll come back to this whole scaling up sourcing, because how you set up your shipping team really is its own section. How you do your buying system is really its own section. Maybe we can have some training on that. And then how you're doing your repricing and back end work is it's kind of like its own system. So we're just keeping this very high level today. We didn't mean to go into the details of this, guys, but I like to give you guys, we want to over deliver and give you guys more value for free in our Facebook than you get in other paid courses. That's our goal with Cheddarville. We want to over deliver on the value and the training. We want you guys to be the best, well-trained, most profitable Amazon sellers in the universe, because we know when we serve you and help you make money and be profitable, you're going to love us and be loyal subscribers to Cheddar for years to come. And then that blesses us. So it's a win-win-win situation here. We like creating those in business. So Grant, we got to wrap up though, because we've got the world premiere launch of OA Cheddar Chunks. That's coming, I see, in 15 minutes. So I've got a timer set on my phone. It's counting down right now. It's actually ahead of schedule because I got to get a post created for the group, and I got to get the page ready to turn live. We've done a bunch of stuff behind the scenes to release these to you guys. So how this is going to work, at the top of the hour, we're going to drop the chunk in the group. There will be a post in the group. You'll see it. All you got to do is comment below on the post, "I want in." In fact, if you guys want in on the chunk right now and you're watching live, go ahead and comment, "I want in." I'm just curious how many of y'all, we've already had probably 15 or 20 people speak up for the chunk. There's only 35 seats. I fully expect this to sell out quickly. If it doesn't sell out within the first couple of minutes, for sure by the end of today, it will be full. Once it's full, we discovered a brand new feature on the website last night that we can pre-program the quantity. So we're going to set this to 35. When it sells out, you're going to see a line on the checkout page, and it's going to say sold out. And I can't control, we can control that technically, but once that sells out, that's it. It sells out. So we got a bunch of you guys. Last question. I see Jeff wants in, Joan wants in, faux show. I like it. Todd wants in, Stephen Mosley wants in, and I can't see because there's so many comments coming in below that. So very cool, guys. So at the top of the hour, all you got to do is we're going to drop a post in the group. You can jump on. Let me ask you guys this last question, teaser, okay? Taylor's in the field, Taylor Dunn, who does all of the reviewing on the state side for the lead list each day. He's out in the field actively buying on a weekly basis, several times a week. I'm curious, just out of curiosity, this is an OA group. How many of you guys would be curious in kind of behind the scenes, seeing how Taylor sources retail arbitrage? You guys still do retail arbitrage. There's still opportunities in your local market. And how many of y'all would be interested if we ever had an opportunity in the future for a retail arbitrage chunk? Okay, we've never offered retail arbitrage leads publicly to the group. I'm just curious if you'd be interested in RA chunks. Drop below, interested RA chunks. I'm just curious. We like to follow and do what you guys do. Taylor finds some juicy stuff out there, guys, and there's a reason why Grant and Taylor still do RA. Can you give like 30 seconds, Grant, on why a lot of people say retail arbitrage is dead? You know, it's 2018 at the time of this recording. Why do you guys still do retail arbitrage today?
We're really, really freaking good at it. We can sell every kind of brand. So we do sell a lot. I'm going to be totally transparent, you guys. A lot of our store is clothing items. A lot of it's Nike and Under Armour. We do not fear.
No fear.
You know, we do not fear. We've been selling Nike and Under Armour for 2 years straight and have had no issues. We're very careful with how we prep it and pack it, make sure it's all good matches. You know, we don't trust what comes up on Inventory Lab to ensure a match. We actually go to the Amazon listing to double check. But we do it because we're really good at it, and it's very predictable, and the system's in place. Our goal is actually to move Taylor out of the buying. That'll be, so as I move out, right, Taylor comes and moves into the positions that I'm kind of leaving, or he moves into a new position, which would be wholesale. So eventually, probably early next year, we'll replace him.
Cool.
But because we make 25 G's a month, that's why we do RA.
It's still
I don't know what else to say.
It's still profitable. Yeah. It's profitable. And I've heard mixed reviews. I've heard some parts of the country, it's getting harder to find retail ARB. You guys are in the upper north, Pacific Northwest. You guys still find deals, and you guys still do travel traj. So Taylor's driving 2-3 hours plus to get to sourcing zones. I've also heard the South Florida market is still hot. There are markets in the country that are hot. It's all regional. It depends on where you guys are. The stores that you guys source at, though, if you guys, and we won't drop them today, but if you're interested in the retail ARB chunks, we may come and do some training. There's stores that you find all across the country. So this is stuff that you guys have in your back market. So cool. Well, I'm seeing this may be a hot topic. I'm seeing a bunch of you guys would be interested in retail ARB chunks. So that's good to know. Thank you for the feedback. Stephen Mosley, whatever, interested in growing my business. So we'll keep coming out with tools and resources and lists to help you all grow your business if that's cool with you guys. So without further ado, Grant, we got to wrap this show up. I'm going to get over and get everything queued up for the top of the hour. So hang tight, guys. We'll drop the new chunk in the group here in 10 minutes, exactly at the top of the hour. And then once that sells out, we'll close it down. And if there's enough demand for these, we will keep offering these to you guys as we have extra leads. And Grant, it looks like we have some hungry buyers in the retail arbitrage space as well. So we'll have to talk on that. You guys rock. Hey, I appreciate you guys, man. You guys, can you guys make sure we get on the chunk since we stayed here? Steven, you guys, the fairest way we can do this is to drop this publicly. I don't know of a more fair way to do this. So all I can say is there will be more cheese. So have no fear, Cheddarville. The cheese is here. We'll have more and more. We're going to keep hiring and growing, guys. And as we grow and scale, you guys will get the benefit of it. So we're going to do everything in our power. We've got the foot on the gas pedal. And as soon as we get Cheddar 3 open, we're going to immediately begin production on, Grant mentioned some clothing and potentially shoe lists. We're going to look for some more niche lists. We're going to ask you guys before we do that. But Grant, thank you, man. Last words on Cheddar Chunks before we drop these cheesy little delicacies to the group.
I think I just remind everybody that we are going to give the people who buy Cheddar Chunks today front row access or early bird access to Cheddar 3 when it goes live. So if you are waiting for a Cheddar subscription or you need another one, buy Chunks today. You're going to be front in line. That's the way it is.
There you go. So you can skip if you're joining the group now and you're like, man, in full transparency, there's like 90+ people on the waiting list. So if you want to skip ahead, we're going to prioritize buyers of Cheddar Chunks, since this technically is leads off of Cheddar 3. You guys are going to move to the top of the list. And that's just because you've proven your dedication, and we know you guys will benefit the most from the list. Hungry for the cheese. We are too. Stealing that Wisconsin cheese. Awesome. Love you guys. Thank you so much for being subscribers and being a part of our community. I've said this before in the group, but you guys really make this group a pleasure to serve. We've got a unique community of buyers. So the more you give to the group, the more you get. So thank you to all of you. I know Susan, I made a post a couple days ago for a bunch of you guys that have been contributing to the group, answering questions and helping each other. And aside from the satisfaction and joy you get from being in service to others, you guys make this community awesome. And we just getting started. We warming up the cheese bus around here. Okay, I may even get a cheese head. I'm a Bears fan, but I may even get a cheese head just for you guys. So, all right, G, we gotta go, man. We're gonna get this wrapped up. Check the group, guys. In 8 minutos, Cheddar Chunks #1 dropping at a computer near you. We're stoked, G. So, hey, thank you, Grant, too, man. Grant and Kishi and Taylor and all you guys behind the scenes. That Clark, we don't ever say thank enough to Clark, to Cindy Rooney for helping with support. It really is a team effort around here. So thank you to you guys, Grant, and all the team effort, brother.
Yeah. Thank you, Gabe. And thank you, everybody who watched the call, all 20 of you that are still here. And thank you for being part of Cheddar. It's a pleasure. It's an honor. And we'll see you on the inside of Chunks.
See you on Chunks, yo. Peace, guys.